Our next guest is quite literally a jack of all trades: builder, designer, television presenter, author, ambassador for the Leukemia Foundation, cancer survivor, and an all-round good guy. I'm Penny Lane, and In the Driver's Seat starts now. Anyone caught up in the home renovation boom in the past 20 years will instantly recognise BarryDubois, a design and building expert on the lifestyle programme The Living Room. Barry's renovation tips have helped tens of thousands of home handy folk across the nation, but he's far more than a builder. He's an amazing Aussie battler fighting the most cursed word in the English language, cancer. And this amazing man joins me now.
Penny.
Hi, Barry.
How are you? It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So first off, are you okay now?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I mean, I live with an incurable cancer, that's for sure, but my numbers are good at the moment, and I'm continually curious and continually working on managing this disease. I'm pretty happy. With that question, are you okay? I'm also on the board of directors of Are You OK Day and a proud ambassador for those guys as well, which takes up a lot of my time.
Yeah, well, I genuinely meant it. So when did you get into building, Barry, and why did you?
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm 65 years old, a couple of months. So back when I left school, which was 1975, there wasn't a lot of choices. We didn't have the same options we do that young people do these days. I had one uncle that was a carpenter, one uncle that was a builder. One uncle that was a carpenter, one uncle that was a mechanic, and they were my two choices. So I went with the builder, and that started my career in building. I was always very creative, though, so it worked really well for me, and I was good at it. So I was happy there.
That you chose that, and construction was the trade that you were attracted to.
Yeah, well, as I said, I didn't have a lot of choice, but I'd rather be working out in the sunshine and building things in a grease pit, taking nuts and bolts apart. So that's where I ended up.
And did you find back in 1976, there was people pushing more towards university degrees and things like that? And was any of that ever open to you?
No, I mean, we were real battlers, so to speak, and I didn't know it at the time, but I suffered dyslexia and education. Up until I was about 45, I couldn't read. Quite frankly, up until I started TV, I was not a good reader or writer. I was able to get away with that for that long. I often say the first $1 million check I wrote, I didn't know how to spell million. So, university definitely wasn't on the books for me. We weren't in that facet to be able to do that. Dad was a blue collar worker, and we went to a nice little public school, but I wasn't the top of the pile within academics, that's for sure. I was a good athlete, that's for sure, but not academics.
You've really built your own career and forged your own path in life, haven't you? So you were mentored by architects, is that right? And how important was that to your own design work?
Yeah, I love the philosophy of design, and I was very lucky. The builder I worked with and the carpenter I started with was an incredibly talented human being. To this day, I think the best person I've ever seen with their hands. And with that, we were lucky to work with and alongside some really incredible architects. I think I would have loved to have been an architect, but one particular architect saw that in me. Maurizio Bruno, his name was, an Italian guy, staying here in Australia for a while, and he sort of took me under his wing and mentored me for a couple of years on the philosophy of design. And I became really passionate about that. And then I developed my building company into a design and construct company. And then we moved into design, construct, and develop. So I was across all those things. And then we're going to jump forward a little bit. When I retired in 2000, whenever I retired, 2005, I don't know if you know, but I have a beautiful yacht in the Mediterranean called Belisoni.
Wow.
And we used to spend 6 months of the year on that. So within one of those 6-month periods, I studied human movement in the built environment in the University of Venezia. So that really, really, again, just progressed my love of design and human movement in the built environment.
What an awesome experience. And when you design in a home, what do you think the key ingredients are these days?
Oh, and that Amanda Keller will tell you can't ask Barry a question like that and not have 2 hours spare. That question to me will now go to sketches, drawings. I'll interview you and take all your personality, decode that, and then. But to answer it in a short way, if I'm building for a home in a domestic situation, that's what I'll do. I get right into the personalities of the humans that are going to inhabit that space and draw out things that they may not be aware of themselves. Then I'll add philosophical design and architectural design to that, and try my best to deliver back some poetry for them in the shape of a structure.
Yeah, amazing. Now, you must have been a pretty decent builder if you were president of the Masters Builders and an expert witness in the Court of Fair Trade and Consumer Affairs legal cases. What do you think makes a good builder? Because people are always complaining that they can't find one.
Can I tell you something? I think this is really important. What makes a good builder makes a good everything, and that is called communication. You have to be able to communicate. There's no such thing as a good person at anything that can't communicate what they're thinking and what they're trying to achieve. So I was a great listener. I cared a lot about the emotional value the built environment carried with humans that are going to inhabit that space. So if you listen really deeply to their stories, that's the main thing. And then understand that their worries and their concerns, explain your worries and concerns. And with that, we're not opposing each other. We're, in fact, sitting on the same side of the table looking at creating the ultimate solution for a problem.
Yeah, that is absolutely brilliant advice. And if you have got that kind of communication and you can be open and honest with each other about your worries, it really does. It really does set you apart, doesn't it? That's awesome advice, Barry. Now, tell me a little bit about your move to TV, and were you nervous?
No, I'm very rarely. Oh, yeah, of course I was. First time on TV, I was incredibly nervous. But I'm a very self-confident person. I never wanted to be on TV. It was the last thing on my mind. As I said, I ran a very successful building design and development company. I did have some mental health issues in I'd say 2003 through to 2005, 2006. And I was doing really well financially, but like I said, I'd lost my mum to cancer. Leonie and I were going through a whole lot of infertility and miscarriage problems. Leonie, unfortunately, then got cancer as well, which was probably one of the straws that added to breaking my mental back, so to speak. And I decided that I was going to just step out of society for a while, and that's when I bought the yacht Belisoni. And then Leonie and I would spend 6 months of the year, on the yacht in Europe, and then 6 months of the year here in our home in Bondi. And we did that for a couple of years, but Leonie and I were still on a quest to have children. That was still very important to us. We experienced 12 failed IVF attempts. And as I said, on the last one, we were pregnant with twins, 17 weeks. And Leonie we discovered with that miscarriage that Leonie had cervical cancer. So that put having children out, because she had to have a radical hysterectomy as well as chemotherapy and radiotherapy, etc. But that put having children naturally out of our grasp. And Leonie we were on the adoption trail for quite a while. And then after that, we discovered surrogacy. So we were chasing the surrogacy route for a while. But to talk about how we get into TV, I would spend at least 6 months on the yacht. Leonie might spend 4 months on the yacht, and we travel a lot. There's no doubt about that. But I have a really close friend, Peter Cahoon, who's the architect on Better Homes and Gardens. He does a lot of work with Joe with their wow houses, and he talks of all things architecture on Better Homes and Gardens. And Pete, being an architect, is an amazing lateral thinker, and I love lateral thinkers. And we used to go on the yacht to sort of far away places when Leonie wasn't on the boat. We went down to the Sudan, we went to Tunisia, Cyprus, Syria, all places like that, and explored. And Pete came up with this amazing idea for a TV show, and what he wanted to do was have this artisan, myself, and him as an architect, and we'd sail into great cities that had changed the history of the world we live in today. And then we decode that history through the architecture. So he created a show like that. What do you call it? A sizzle reel for that. And that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing it. But he then showed that sizzle reel to a production company, and that production company was making the TV show The Renovators. I don't know if you remember The Renovators.
I do.
And the EP said, "No, we like you, Pete, but we really like that artisan builder guy that has the yacht, and we want him to be an expert on the Renovators show." And this is a funny story, but they rang me 3 or 4 times, and I kept saying I'm not interested in doing TV. I was happy to go along with Pete's thing, but I didn't really like TV. I thought builders were bastardized a little bit on TV, quite frankly, and I said I wasn't interested, and they kept ringing me back, and and then in 2010, at the end of 2010, I was surfing down the south coast, and I went under a wave, and I got a big crack in my neck. And 3 months later, after living with that pain in my neck and a really bad headache for 3 months, I discovered I had a giant tumor in the base of my brain there, in my spine.
Wow.
And you wouldn't believe what happened. I spent all day in the hospital, and that afternoon I'd been through CT scans and MRIs and all sorts of stuff like that. My wife had been crying all day. Everybody was upset, and the first doctor literally said to me, "Barry, I'm really, really sorry. I think you've got about 3 months to live. You should go home and tidy up your affairs." And still upsets me to say that now.
I bet. How long ago was that, Barry? What year?
So that's 2000. That was the start of 2011. But she said that to me. There was 3 doctors, and I said to her, "Thanks for your advice, but I'm not interested in that, and I'd rather you just leave the room." And I said to the 2 other doctors, "I just need to take a break. I want to call my brother and my sister." My wife was still there, was there with me, of course. And I turned my phone on. You wouldn't believe this story unless it happened. But I turned the phone on to call up my brother first and my sister. And the phone rang again. It was a private number. And that was back 2011. So you could answer a private number, and it wasn't a telemarketer. And this girl, who I still know and love, said, "Hi, Baz, it's Kirsty Delavance, Cast of Thousands. The executive producer wants you to know they'll do anything to get you on this show." And I've just been told I got 3 months to live.
Oh, my goodness.
And I looked at the phone and I said to myself, what is this? Is this really my life? Is this what's happening? And I said to her, "Listen, call me back in 3 months, and if I answer the phone, I'll do the job." And I closed the phone and said to the next doctor, "You do what you've got to do. If you believe in me, I believe in me, and I think we'll get through this. And I've got a job I've got to get to in 3 months." So, believe it or not, 9 weeks later. Yeah, 9 weeks later, I was walking out of St. Vincent's after my last bout of radiotherapy. I had a major surgery, gigantic scar down the back of my head. And she rang me up and she said, "I know you said 12 weeks, but it's 9 weeks, but we really need to get you in." I said, "All right, I'll come in on Friday." Funny thing was, Penny, when they saw those pictures and videos of me on the boat, I was 115 kilos, pretty big, solid guy. And now, at this point in my life, I weighed 79 kilos. So they got a bit of a shock when I walked on the set.
When they saw you.
Sure.
Gosh, you really, I have got another 10 questions for you, Barry, and I can't believe we're out of time. You really are truly an inspiration. And I wish we had more time because there's so many things that I want to ask you, but they're telling me to wrap it up. So Barry, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You are definitely a well-deserved member of In the Driver's Seat Club. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that rawness with us and the things that you've been through and your wife. Thank you so much, Barry, and I wish you many, many more healthy years to come.
We'll talk again. Take care.
In the Driver's Seat is brought to you by the Perfect Cosmetics Company. This is Ticker, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.